Welcome to Are You Brave Enough? This week's episode is a little different because it's the 4th of July week and I am up in New Hampshire at Lake Winnipesaukee. So I'm going to give you a little background of where I am before we get started with the show. See? How gorgeous is that? Anyway, today's episode is Are you brave enough to embrace your freedom of choice? Okay, we have to talk about freedom for Independence Day. Of course we do. But what about freedom of choice? Of course we have freedom of choice. Of course you make choices. But let's dive into that a little bit further. I'm Karen Ann Bullock, and this week's episode, Are You Brave Enough to Embrace Your Freedom of Choice? We're going to explore what our freedom of choice really is, because the reality is we have a lot more choices than we allow ourselves to acknowledge. We have a lot more freedom than we actually embrace. Let me give you some examples. We have long lists of things we have to do, right? We have our task list, our to-do list, and all of those things are must-dos, have-to-dos, should-dos. But are they really? What happened to the want-to-dos? What happened to the things that bring us joy or are leading towards bringing us joy? One of the things I've realized as an entrepreneur is that I have lots of choices as to how I can spend my time and do things during the day. And some of those are fun, and some of them are not so fun, and some of them feel like things I've got to do. And those are the things that are the least fun, of course, because nobody likes to be told what to do. Nobody likes to feel like they are under an obligation. But yet we live so much of our lives feeling like we're under an obligation, don't we? How many of the things on your list of things to do are, oh, I should do this, or I have to do this, or someone else is expecting me to do this? You have more freedom than you realize. And that's what I want to tell you today, because you always have a choice. You have a choice as to what you're going to do. You have a choice as to how you spend your time, how you spend your money, what you wear, what you eat, all the things. You have a choice of everything. There is really almost nothing in this world that is a necessity. People say, okay, you have to pay taxes and you have to die, but guess what? You don't even have to pay taxes. Of course, you might go to jail. There's consequences, and that's the other piece of it. We have unlimited freedom, especially here in the US, but there are consequences. There are consequences to all of our choices. And often we get so caught up in the consequences of our choices that we feel like we don't have any real freedom. Well, if I don't do this, then so-and-so is going to be mad at me. Or if I do this, well, it has to get done because the beds have to be made in the morning, the dishes have to be done, and of course those things have to be done. I'm not saying they don't. But what I'd really like to encourage you to think about this week, as you go through the holiday week, is what are your choices really? Are you really exercising your freedom? Your freedom to choose what you want to do. Your freedom to want to do things instead of being stuck with shoulds and musts and need tos and have tos. Because you know what? Shoulds and musts and need tos and have tos suck the life out of you. They take the joy out of life because everything becomes a drudge. It's not that I'm not going to do those things. It doesn't mean, okay, I'm not going to do my dishes after I eat my breakfast. You're going to. Of course you are. But are you going to do it from a place of, I have to do this? Or are you going to do it, I want to do this because I want my kitchen to be clean. I want to come in to get my lunch with a nice, fresh, clean kitchen, right? There's a difference. And it's all in your attitude. So one of the things I work with my clients on is something called positive intelligence. And positive intelligence teaches us that we don't have to judge every situation and circumstances that we're involved in as good or bad. In fact, most circumstances aren't good or bad. They're just circumstances. And that comes the same thing with our choices, with the things that we have to do, are supposed to do during the day. We can look at them as obligations. And then maybe we'll feel resentful or angry or not want to do them. Or we can look at them as opportunities to open other doors, like the example of doing your dishes or the example of making your bed. I never used to make my bed. I hated it because my mom made me do it when I was a kid. But one day I realized, you know what, this is a silly choice because I like going to bed at night and having my sheets all nice and smoothed out and not wrinkled, and it just feels better. So I want to make my bed in the morning. It stopped being an obligation. Even the things on my to-do list now, some of them are obligations. Okay, I have to post on social media. I have to record this video. I have to do these things. But the reality is I want to do them. I want to grow my business. I want to connect with you. And that's the difference. The difference is choosing, not only exercising and embracing our freedom to make our choices, but to exercise our attitude about them. And that is the most freeing thing of all. If we exercise a positive attitude, if we look for what we're gaining out of the things that we're doing, rather than the things that we're losing or that we're spending time on that we may not prefer to. So this week, in honor of 4th of July, in honor of Independence Day here in the US, I want you to really look at exercising and embracing your freedom of choice. I'm Karen Ann Bullock, and are you brave enough to embrace your freedom of choice? Loving this content? Are you brave enough to hit subscribe? I dare you to hit subscribe. Don't miss a single episode of Are You Brave Enough?